little bit involved. My godson, as a former policeman, got involved in some software, a St. Louis company called Blue Line Security Solutions, and a new product that they have been rolling out over the past, I guess, 8 months to a year called First Line. It's a First Line software system that comes with cameras, computers, and more importantly, a database backup that every time this camera hits an individual, it is able to identify the individual and compare it to some criminal background checks and be able to alert security officers, police officers in high traffic venues. And that's just kind of a 30,000-foot view. We're going to dial deeper into this type of technology. And I'm honored to have with me Major Joe Spees, former St. Louis police officer and major on that well-respected police department, but now over in this world of security and with Blue Line Security System. What was the appeal, Major Joe, to get you away from the front lines of police work to moving into the security world?
Well, we got introduced to a kernel of what looked like a very valuable product to protect people. Mm-hmm. So significantly different than what we saw when we did some research on facial recognition software technology. This one was immediate and provided a reaction capacity that just isn't on the market. So in a tenth of a second, what we were seeing was that people that in a workplace violence situation or a domestic violence situation, shoplifters, people that are a threat to any environment like a school, it would give an opportunity to react.
The shooting last night, now we don't know a lot about John Russell Hoover and his background yet, but let's say the shooter in the Louisiana theater shooting last night had a criminal background check. Let's take it to that, a very specific case. Would your software, would your camera system, let's say he had a violent past, a violent felony record, would your system be able to see him walking through the front door and identify him as a potential threat?
It could, but the caveat there being you would have to know that he was a specific threat to that environment.
Okay.
So one of the reasons that Blue Line is different than a lot of other facial recognition products is that we aren't hitting millions of photos in a database. Our databases are specifically created for a reason. It could be your workers and you want them into your facility using our system as access control. You know they're safe and should be there. In the circumstance of that theater shooting, had he made threats to somebody there at the theater? Was he a prior employee and they knew he may be a threat because of that? That's how that database would be created in that situation. We are not hitting millions of photos. We are not hitting anybody that, an FBI database of wanted people. So it'd have to be a specific threat to that environment.
So let's take a children's hospital, for example. Let's say, a mother has got a custody issue with someone. If she can provide a photograph of that person and that parent is not allowed access to that child, or there's other criminal records, maybe he's a pedophile, there's other issues at stake here. As long as you know he's a potential threat to a patient in that facility, what do you need for that security team to be alerted that this gentleman, if he enters the property? Just a photograph? Just a simple?
Yeah, that's really all you need. And you gave a great example of an application of what we're doing.
Oh, it is?
So if you walk in right now to an emergency room in St. Louis, in the city of St. Louis, what you'll see are 30 or 40 photographs plastered in the security room trying to keep people out of that environment of the hospital that you
who've
just
either
described.
been a previous threat or have made
Correct.
verbal threats, or maybe a patient is at threat by this individual.
Absolutely, or it could be a domestic violence issue with somebody that works there at the hospital.
And it's up to the security to try to pick it from the photo on the wall to try to remembering the face while they're out on detail?
And that doesn't work, Dan, and I'll give you a real quick example. We have this deployed at the St. Louis Circuit Courthouse, and we had two former police officers on the steps looking for a guy who had made a threat against the judge in the courthouse, and this was after our system was deployed. He walked right past the two former cops, but got banged as soon as he hit the metal detector with our system.
Wow.
I won't snitch on your nephew and tell you he was one of them. But no, that is the power of the system, though.
Okay.
There was a lot of flow into the traffic flow and pedestrians going into the courthouse. So it was easy to miss people. Well, that's the same environment no matter where you have security. they are challenged to pick these people out where the system gets them right away.
If I'm the potential perpetrator, can I disguise myself? Is there ways that I can avoid this kind of camera work?
Facial hair does not bother the system. So if you obviously it needs to look at your face. Just to give you an example, though, we have tested this because we have surgeons that want to use with surgical mask on to move from room to room,
Right.
using facial rec instead of a card access control process. That works great.
Just the eyes and the nose showing, or just that?
And that's one of the significant differences about Blue Line's software is that we are at about 360 points on the face. Well, a lot of them are focused around your eyes, so that potential is there as well.
I'm going to raise the great liberal flag of this is a violation of our sense of privacy. How do you address that? That people are saying, I'm being scanned without being known, I'm being monitored without being known. How do you respond to that?
So there's an estimate of about 1,000 times a day you go through cameras anywhere we go in our
Everywhere.
world today. So
Traffic lights, right.
one of the things that really drew us to this product when we saw it 3 years ago was that that database, we are not hitting Facebook, Google. We don't sell photos. We don't transfer photos. This is a very exclusive and well-protected database. So if it's your employees, that's the only people that are going to be in it. If you have pedophiles and you're the zoo or you're a children's venue like Six Flags, that's the database that you're working from. So there's a very exclusive list of people that go into the system, and they're there for a very, very good reason. So if you're a chronic shoplifter at a supermarket or at a Walmart-style store, those people have shown, and typically they've already been excluded from coming back to that environment. Just like a pedophile would not be allowed into a children's
but
venue.
It's so hard with turning over security people to know that this person has been banned. Your security system, how does the alert system actually work?
It happens in a tenth of a second, so as soon as it identifies that Dan is the guy we're looking for, you're a thief, you're a pedophile, you're a workplace violence threat, in a tenth of a second, then our system will send as many as you wish. It'll send email notifications, and you can see the power of that, especially in a domestic violence situation.
Email or text, I would imagine.
Either one.
You can make it as a text, okay.
Right, and you can see in a domestic violence case that if a woman up here on the 17th floor of the building we're in, her ex-violent husband shows up downstairs, and she knows it immediately, that's a very powerful way for her to avoid being hurt. So you can extrapolate that to any of the situations that the system's deployed in.
Great. When we come back, we are talking with Joe Spees, who's the major former city police officer who now is working for the Blue Line Security Solution System and this first line technology. But when we come back, I want to talk about specific applications, if that's all right, Major, of where is it being implemented, where has it worked. We've mentioned the hospital scenario, but would like to learn more about, I imagine the expansiveness and continued use of this technology is just going to continue to grow. And we'll talk about that when we come back on the Big 550 KTRS, the McGraw-Millhaven Show. Stay with us.
This is McGraw Live on KPLR 11.2 STL Today.